Hello everybody, my name is Brinley. I'm a 25-year-old entrepreneur, and in this video I'm going to be breaking down my very first year in Turo. It has officially been 1 year that I have scaled a little bit of a Turo fleet on the side here. I started with just one vehicle, and just in this 12 months I have gotten to 5 vehicles, and that is also in the midst of moving cities. I actually moved from Nashville to New Jersey, like New York area. So I just want to really provide value. This is my very first video for this YouTube channel, and I'm just going to be breaking down super raw. Like I have no problem sharing like the profits that I had, if Turo is still like a really good side hustle, or even if it's worth it if you are somebody who is an aspiring entrepreneur, or maybe you're just like, you have a 9 to 5, you've heard of Turo, you've heard of things like, Airbnb, and you kind of just want to leverage what opportunities are there. I just wanted to take this video and break things down. So I have my phone in front of me, and that's where I operate Turo from. Just to kind of give some background, I started Turo in December of 2023, it was basically January 2024. And I listed my first vehicle, which was a Chevy Traverse SUV. It's just a black SUV, and it's pretty big. And I started this in Nashville last year. So I just wanted to kind of get an idea of what Turo was even about. I had rented Turos myself, and I really like the app interface. It makes it really easy. So I honestly didn't think I was gonna get any like reservations at all. I was like, maybe this is really hard. There's a lot of listings out there. There's a lot of hosts. So what does this even mean? Heck, I'll just like list my first vehicle. And it actually did really well. I think the reason being is because I was near an airport, and I did list it at the airport, and people really liked the like 4-wheel drive of this SUV, especially being in the snow and stuff. Nashville does get some weather. So it did pretty well, I think. Let me even come back to my profits for the SUV. In 2024, I believe I made $3,800 on the Chevy Traverse, and I kind of went from there. So I actually listed this as my very first vehicle, and I did really well. And so don't do this, but what I did basically 3 months into doing Turo was I wanted to buy a sports car for the longest time. And so I went ahead, and I love Audis. So I went ahead and bought a used Audi S5. It was a 2021. And I kind of was like, well, I'm already doing Turo, and it does provide some income. So I just wanted to basically buy a sports car and like not really have to pay for it, which I made a mistake and like finance this vehicle. So I actually ended up losing money on it, because I did also list the Audi S5 on Turo, and it got a lot of reservations. It made over $11,000 in the like 9 months that I had it listed. With that said, it racked up a ton of miles, and basically that $11,000 was the equity that I lost on the vehicle. So although it did pretty well, I wouldn't advise doing a sports car as your very first Turo rental, because the equity drops a ton on these cars, especially in Audi, where I actually got it at 50,000 miles and it was 75,000 miles at the end of it. So I made $11,000 on it, but I lost basically 11,000 when I sold it just this last month. So the third vehicle that I got was a Fiat 500 2013. And guys, this was like the best thing ever. I invested, I think, $7,500 into buying this vehicle in full with some extra savings that I had. And I basically just started Turoing this out right away. And this was actually during the summer. I think I got it in like April, May of last year. So in 2024, this made $4,615, and it is actually constantly getting booked now. So there's been really no expenses on this vehicle. I mean, maybe like a thermostat change, that was $200, and like some regular oil changes. But besides that, this has been the most surprising vehicle that I've ever had. And I've had like Volkswagens, I've had like a Honda Civic, and the Fiat is just like, it's so cute, and like people really like it for the character, and so they rent it out. And it is a convertible, which it doesn't do as well in the winter, so I actually go ahead and like lower the prices in the winter myself, and then during the summer I'm gonna kind of see how it does, because this is the second summer that I will have it, but it'll be in the New Jersey, New York area. Okay, cool. So I love the Fiat 500. So then I got a fourth one. This is my fourth car, the Fiat 500 2013, which is just a red car. It's not convertible, but I bought this on Facebook Marketplace for $3,800, and so far it has made $825 over the course of 3 months. So I actually got a long-term rental on it. Somebody just took it for 3 months, and it has made $825 off of that one rental. So if I bought it for $3,800 and I've already made back like $800, I don't know what that percentage is, but I'm going to continue to rent it out probably a little bit higher on some shorter reservations. And that's one thing that I did learn, is try not to go too long-term with your rentals. I'm probably going to do like max 30-day rentals, just because once you get to like past 30 days, like 30, 60, 90 days, you have to get oil changes, and you have to think about like the maintenance in between. And if something goes wrong during like a 90-day plus rental, then you can kind of have some complications. So that's just something to think about. The fifth vehicle, actually fifth and sixth vehicle, is I sold the Chevy Traverse because it was actually a part of a company car that I had prior. So I got started with that, but it wasn't mine at the end of the day. So I gave that one back and kind of like quote unquote sold it. So I actually just had the 2 Fiats left, the Audi S5 left, and then that's when I actually jumped into Teslas. And we decided to, this is kind of the rule that I've had, is buy used and buy cheap, like the Fiats. They're under 10K. So I went ahead and just bought those in full, and then it's just profits from this on out after I pay back those in full prices. But then I would actually go ahead and lease the more expensive vehicles. So you know how I told you about how the Audi S5, how that one actually caused me a pretty big loss at the end of the day, because it was a used vehicle, but it was financed and it was way more expensive. So anything like if you're getting a car really over like 15K, I would just say go ahead and lease it. And that's what I did with the Tesla Model 3s. We actually got 2 Tesla Model 3s just because I love them so much. I think they are awesome vehicles as long as you don't go too crazy on the mileage, which it is an electric car, so people aren't going to be taking these like cross-country road trips. So I went ahead and just leased those. Our lease payment is about $380 per month on both Tesla Model 3s. And with that, they give us a pretty good profit. So I think last month, in the month of January 2025, the gray Tesla Model 3 earned us $857. So minus the $380 gives us a profit there. And the other one, which is the white Model 3, made $823. So they're almost equal, pretty much the same car, but we liked how the profit, there's like almost zero maintenance so far in these vehicles because they are electric and no oil changes. It's also really easy to maneuver like the location and the app interface of Tesla. You can really keep an eye on your customers and what they're doing with their vehicle. So those both made above, just slightly above $800, and our lease payment is $380 on both of those. So far, that's just kind of been my experience in brief. I did actually buy a Ford Escape in the middle of this, which was $10,500. And I had bought that with a business loan, hoping that it would do really well because it was an SUV and a lot of my fleet was actually sedans. But turns out it kind of conked out. It was at 95,000 miles, yes. And it just conked out like the transmission did. And so I actually ended up losing a little bit when I sold that vehicle just because the transmission was expensive to repair. So that was a bad purchase. But other than that, I did sell the Ford Escape and I didn't really make too much profit on that. So that's something that I'm going to be thinking about in the future is like, does an SUV really cater to my area? Like New Jersey, New York, most people are actually looking for like smaller distances and they're looking for more like city and suburban, urban type rentals. So maybe an SUV wouldn't be the best. So that's something to kind of think about. I did end up selling my Audi S5 and trading that in for a leased Audi A5. And so far the Audi has done pretty well. This past month, the lease payment is actually $1,000 on this exactly. And we made $1,262. So it's just a little bit above. I would like to see this car hopefully make a lot more per month just because it is a luxury vehicle. So we kind of have both ends of the spectrum in this 5-car fleet so far of having the Audis, the Teslas, and then we have like the Fiats. So I'll be keeping you guys updated as I go along because this is going to be my 2nd year now in Turo. And I hope to get up to a couple more vehicles, but also see how my fleet performs overall. And so in the year of 2024, I made $22,000. Now, not all of that obviously went into my pocket. A lot of it was actually based on like the vehicle cost. And keep in mind, I did pay in full for a lot of the Fiats. So I was pretty much like negative for the year just because of paying in full and like investing in this fleet. But it has steadily been paying me back. And I'm excited to see what 2025 holds because we are now consistently holding about $4,000 months of just gross revenue. So after our expenses come out to about $2,000 with like insurance and car payments and like little subscriptions here and there. So we're basically profiting around like between $1,500 and $2,000. Now this isn't to account again, like if accidents happen and things like that, or maybe there are unexpected expenses with parking fees or tolls and things like that. So that's something to keep in mind that I will be also keeping you guys updated on. But that is just overall my year as a whole in Turo, how much each vehicle and what the logistics were. Again, I think Turo is a really great side hustle. We actually use it kind of semi-passively. I don't want to use Turo and like position Turo as like it's just an easy way to make money and like list your car because honestly it can be a lot of stress. There can be a lot of like big hassles on customers and picky customers. And so we create a semi-passive model where we put a lockbox on every single vehicle. We don't meet the customers in person. We just use the lockbox, tell them the directions, and they get the key or the vehicle access via the lockbox or the like the Tesla app, for example. So that's something to think about. Is I don't know if it's really worth, like, it might be worth experimenting with like 1 or 2 vehicles that you have at home. And if you aren't in necessary dire need of using those every day, or maybe you're going on vacation, like heck, why not make an extra like $300 to $500? But with that said, if you're also looking for something more long-term to just like generate revenue for you, I think you have to be prepared to just roll with the punches, learn a lot, because every single metro area is different. And then also start to learn about what types of vehicles you want to get started in. I would definitely suggest looking at those lower tier vehicles like the Fiats. They're so cheap, but they also do generate back that revenue pretty fast. And I would try and get to about 4 to 5 cars within the first year, just because then you're gonna see a little bit bigger return on investment and just a little bit more worthiness, right? So I told you guys that I have 5 cars and they're generating about $4,000 right now. It might be higher in the summer months, I'm not sure, but that's about, you know, like $2,000 of profit. So let's think about if you're doing like, you know, 1 or 2 cars, it might be a little bit more just like time and effort and stuff. So something to think about. I hope this was helpful, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.